And welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod. And this is basically to follow up the last Thailand Tuesday where I ranted about the hospital experience because, to be honest, and I just realized this, I'm in a new place right now, in a new spot. And when I look over there, I actually see another hospital. Awesome. So yeah, the hospital experience hasn't gotten that much better. So if you follow up the last Thailand Tuesday, you know what's up. So she's still in the hospital right now, as of time of recording, still the same hospital as last time. Probably not for much longer if this continues like this. Yesterday, when I went to visit her, they gave her like the wrong, like they had to give her like an infusion kind of thing. And before you get that, you have to get like an injection of like some allergic reaction, whatever kind of thing, so that your body takes that infusion better, I believe. And she received that before, even in the old hospital, so they wrote it in the file, of course, the previous hospital, and also actually in the same hospital, just in like the floor below where she was before she got into the new floor, the new department, however you want to call it. And it was no problem, and she felt better right after. And this time she got that injection and then that infusion and felt terrible, like she was fainting. So we had to call the nurse, like, hey, emergency, and so on. And then they stopped the infusion, and then the nurses are like, oh, maybe you're reacting to that infusion. But she had received the same infusion like 3 times before without a problem, and it made her feel better right away. So, and another patient in the same room, and of course it's just hearsay now, but the other patient said she had a similar experience when they gave her like a different mix of that anti-allergic injection before you get the infusion. So we are assuming that might have happened there, but the nurses would not say that. And now we're kind of worried that the nurses also won't tell the doctor when the doctor comes back. The doctor also only comes back like every 3 days or so. So that's why we're also considering moving to a different place. I'm researching right now where to go, like who to trust and so on. So if you, by any chance, you're listening to this, you're in Bangkok, and you know we have a trustworthy doctor, please do shout out, because this is kind of ridiculous right now. I mean, they're playing with people's lives there. It's not like you're messing up, I don't know, whatever. It's like, I mean, people die if you mess up. So yeah, hence not very happy. Neither happy with that fancy hospital that we went to first, nor because they try to sell up things, as I mentioned in the previous podcast. So I'm not just hating, right? So listen to the previous episode. I explained in detail, like, why not happy with that fancy private hospital and how the doctor behaved there. And now I think the doctor in that hospital seems to be all right. But if they're just around like every 3 days or so, then in between, the nurses aren't that great. And I understand, because, again, what I said in the last podcast, there's so many people, and they have to hurry from one person to another person to another person to another. So I get it, that they just look at like, okay, you have those symptoms. I've seen it before. Let's just do that. But I mean, of course, it doesn't work all the time, right? And as a patient, then you of course, like, you're like, what? Can you just take more time from me, please? But of course, I understand the nurses having to hurry around, and it's a tough, and the shifts are super long, and you don't get paid much. So I understand that. It's the problem in the system. Yeah. So, but if you're on the patient side, you're of course saying like, hey, come on, man, it's my life. So can you please just take a bit more time to read the file at least? And so you see both sides, but obviously I side with the side of the patient in this case. It should be in any case. Right? I understand the stress, but it's always the life of the patient. So please. But the system clearly needs to change, because that's ridiculous, like how many people there are and how little staff there is. And on the other hand, I mean, this hospital right now, the government hospital, is like a learning hospital for medical school, and the doctors take around their students, and they're like always like tropes of a doctor with like then 10, 15, 20 students running around. And I mean, it's cool. But if you got time for this, you should also have time to check in on the patients. Somehow, I don't know. But it's also crazy, and I know that's how it works. But I've seen this now a few times. Like the doctor with his students spends like 3 minutes max. Like, hey, that's the patient, that's the case, that's what's happening, that's what we're doing. Let's move on. Wow. It's really like in those TV shows, which is kind of sad somehow. Like, yeah. So that's the quick hospital update. For now here in the Thailand Tuesday, but of course I don't only want to talk about hospitals because you guys are like, dude, stop bothering us with your private life. Well, I keep bothering you with my private life, but not hospital stuff. So I've just moved places, as you might have heard, known, seen. I used a moving company. Actually, no, it's not a moving company. It's the lorry.com. I used them before. And it's not a company itself. It's a company, but they don't own trucks. So they just, it's like Grab or Uber, right? You sign up as a driver and then you get like that deal basically forwarded to you. So I ordered like a huge truck because I have like those lots of plants that need to be transported. And usually, I'm like the last few times with the lorry was no problem. I think I used them 3 times before. This time, the guys that I came across, not that great. Like killed a few of my plants or broke the leaves and stuff. So that also isn't how it looked before. If you're watching it right now, if you're just listening, then I just pointed at my banana leaves here, explaining that this is not. They looked nicer before, so I hope I can nurture them back. So also, first thing they moved in, when I moved into the new place, first thing they did was like scratch the floor. My landlord was like, "Oh my God, I just shined everything," like, and they're scratching it right away. It was a great first start. Thank you to those guys. No tip for you. Usually, it's the first time though. The times before with the lorry was always no problem, always super nice. So not blaming the lorry. I mean, it's like when Grab sends like a weird driver or Uber has like a weird driver. Yeah, so can't blame them for that, I think. Other than that, yeah, new place seems fine so far. Recording here right now. All good. Mostly the area is all right. I think people seem okay. I will give an update next week, like how I settled in and everything, of course, no problem. Okay, so that's the basic Thailand Tuesday. I'm gonna move into like then the few more details, but it was just the overall update right now. If you're interested in like how my cats are doing and what else well, I'm a bit preoccupied with thinking about the hospital the whole time. So I'll talk quickly about like how my cats are doing in the cat episode, of course, like how they handled the move and the stress and everything, of course. I will quickly talk about some media stuff as well. I will quickly talk about some MMA stuff in the MMA part of the pod. So if you're into this, check out the next few episodes that should be probably on once you're watching or listening to this. As always, your subscription, your likes, your ratings are very much appreciated. And if you have any contacts, anything in regards to hospitals and so on in Bangkok, please do shout out. I would appreciate that. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Sadi Kap.